I'm Luke. I'm Andrew. So our goal for this year was to score about 120 to 140 points. We scored most of our points in autonomous. There are two starting positions really because it's the same for the blue as they are for the red. And for either one, we identify where the mineral is, so it's on the left, center, or right. We land, we push it out, that's sampling, and then if we start near the depot, we put our marker into the depot, and if we're near the crater, we drive onto the crater. So the first step of autonomous is, while we're still on the lander, is we detect where the mineral is. We do this using TensorFlow, which is a artificial intelligence which identifies it through a camera. And initially we wanted to use the camera with the phone, but Andrew, why couldn't we do that?
We didn't use the camera with the phone because the field of view was way too small. So we used the webcam because it had a bigger field of view. We put it in between the two posts, as you can see. We raised it up so it had a better field of view.
And in case the TensorFlow doesn't detect the mineral within about 3 seconds, it just moves on with the program and runs an alternative route, still putting the marker into the crater. And then the next thing we do is we set the shoulder. So Ethan, what does that mean?
Okay, so our arm moves out of the way so it allows our robot to lower from the lander.
And this is the arm that can come up and down. And then Andrew, do you want to talk about the collector?
So our collector slash depositor went through many different phases. We started off with a sweeper design with zip ties and a rev medium motor, but we realized that wouldn't work because the zip ties were way too weak. So we then went to a grabber design. We used two rev servos, used an extrusion to make it lightweight, and we used weather tubing on weather strips to make it grippy.
So when we lower from the lander, our lifter right here comes up. It's easier when the robot moves it up, but it comes up and it allows the robot to come down. And to figure out how far it had to go, we ran about 15 trials to see what the relationship was between inches gone down and encoder clicks. That's the measure of how far the motor has turned. And we found, after doing a linear regression with an R-squared of 0.999, that there are around negative 1,750 encoder clicks per 1 inch gone down, and that's due to the 3-to-1 gear ratio with the motors. So after we know where the mineral is by using TensorFlow, we actually have to drive over and knock it off. So to get these movements down, because these wheels are mounted at 45, we can go any direction while staying the same instead of having to turn like with the car. So to figure out how far is like 1 inch, how many encoder clicks is that? Because encoder clicks are the measure of how far the motor turns. We ran another linear regression, and after 11 trials, we plotted our data, and we found that with an R-squared of 0.9992, there are around 67.092 encoder clicks in 1 inch travel. So this allowed us to go almost in any distance with below 1.5% error. So that brings us to the next part. To reduce the percent error of the robot travel, because we just want it to be as close to what we want as possible, we ran a quadratic regression between the percent error, the absolute value of the percent error, and the power. When we just did a linear regression with not the absolute value, we found that there was basically nothing there. With the quadratic regression with the absolute value of the percent error, we found that the optimal power to reduce percent error was a power at around 0.89. And this allowed that 1.43% error that we had before to go down a lot. So after we had linear movement down, we had to work on rotational movement. So this is an expansion hub in here. It has an inertial measurement unit device that can measure how far the robot turns. And we were able to figure out how many encoder clicks are 1 degree turn. And that allowed us to turn the robot as far as we want, again within around a 2% error. And then, after we had all these methods down, we ran all of them 10 inches and turned 90 degrees and found that our robot overall had percent error of 1.4, which is very good. So, when we are near the depot, we just drive over. We use inertia, actually, to drop this off, because if we go this way fast, start here. So, the reason that didn't work is because these change the center of mass. So if the center of mass gets over the tipping point, it will fall down. So You just have to make sure, and that's was one of our really cool designs. And then when they're near the crater, we just drive over to the crater and get those 10 points. And Kenny, if you want to show them our autonomous in action.
So this is one of the runs from when the minerals on the right.
And you'll see it drive this way and knock the thing out. And then for teleop, Andrew, how many minerals are we planning on getting
We're
there?
planning on getting around 3 and hopefully maybe even up to 4 minerals.
So yeah, only not as many points in teleop as an autonomous, but then in the end game, we lift ourselves back up in that 50-point bonus, and yeah, that's pretty much our robot.
All right, good. Go ahead.
Can we start?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your talk time is about up.
Okay.
We'll answer some questions, and
Okay.
if you can use some of that time to answer with this remaining stuff you wanted to get in. and-
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in building your robot?
So that's gonna have to be getting the lifter compatible with the arm. So this has to reach a point of around 21 inches off the ground to be able to latch onto the lander. And then this has to be below 18 inches when it's resting. So to have this high enough and that low enough was a really hard balance that I took a lot of work to end up figuring out how to do. So that would have to be there.
All your equations and stuff that you're using to modeling, looks like you did a lot of theoretical work and tried to measure how well the thing was performing. Is all that documented in the notebooks?
Yep.
Of why you picked those methods for doing that stuff? And
Yeah, and in fact, we were really excited about this year because Andrew, Kenny, and I are all in AP Statistics at our high school in South Burlington. So it's really cool to actually be able to incorporate that into our FGC system.
so you're spending a lot of effort on the technical aspects of it. What about community and outreach and that sort of thing? Did you do anything to involve other people or get other kids interested in the project?
Yeah, so our team has been going on for a really long time. Like Luke and I have been on the team for like 7 years, and we've made like since we became a team, we made like a non-profit organization to help other students and other kids around Vermont. And so it's called TIPS. It's a non-profit organization, and we help loan robots to like schools like Folsom in South Bureau, Orchard School in South Burlington, Westford School in Westford, and Richmond Community School in Ferrisburg Central School. And we try to involve other kids in robotics.
So you loan them a robot, you give them some pointers on what to do with it and how to
Yeah,
get them started?
and they're little kids too. They're like second, third grade.
Yep. Okay.
Did you use CADing systems at all to help you with this problem?
Very much so.
Wait, do you want to talk about the system?
I have some pictures actually.
Alright.
So this is that is the design for the arm, and then the lifter.
Yeah.
And then we also have the drive system.
Yeah, we had used PTC Creo before, and it was kind of hard switching to Render Pro, but like after a while I got pretty easy.
Are you applying for the control board?
We are. This is our main application, and then these are less important, but we make references in that to these. So like that's the main application.
How did you divvy up the work on this?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of difficult because we meet on Saturdays, and it's kind of difficult because Saturdays are like, like the weekend, we have different things going on, like extracurricular activities. But yeah, we try to divvy up the work.
And one of the things that we thought was really cool about our team this year is we're independent enough now to, at the same time, be working at different sub-assemblies. So for example, there are times when Kenny would be working on the lifter, Andrew would be working on the arm with Ethan, and I'd be working on the chassis, and then we were all able to bring them together.
Also, for our Inventor Pro CAD design, we each made a subsystem of the robot, and at the end we put them all together, which is pretty cool.
And in addition to the control award, we would also like to be considered for the Think Award. Ethan, why is that?
So, we want to be considered for the Think Award because of our market design, and we, because it uses momentum and a higher center of gravity, rather than creating a new system on the robot. So it didn't take any extra programming or designing. This is similar to the International Space Station, to how the Russians used a pencil in space rather than NASA creating $1 million pen. You can write in zero gravity.
We're also going for the Rockwell Collins Innovation Award, because we designed 2 new parts. We're not using either of them, but we hope to use those parts in future years, and we're also planning on applying for patents.
Okay, and those are documented in your.
What would you say is the most unique thing about your robot compared to what some of the other teams might be doing?
I think all the work we did in autonomous, really like drilling that and on that aspect, because our robot is now it operates very well in autonomous, and I think that it kind of stands out there from all the progressions we did. But
I think the calculations we made are very unique in the sense that we worked very hard. We worked very hard on this.
But I think one of the most interesting things was the blend between Rev and Tetrix. So the Tetrix here has a spine which supports the Rev, but the Rev takes up less space. And that blend, I think, really we found a good balance.
Did you document the, when you were saying that you tried to use the cell phone camera first and then it didn't work out for field of view and you switched to this one? Did you document the success failure stuff that you did with the camera, the cell phone also in there? Or?
I don't believe we did, but when we run the program on one of the phones, it shows you what the view is seeing, and it would have been a great idea to take a screenshot of that, but it just wasn't seeing all the minerals.
Mm-hmm. Other aspects of what you learned along the way, did you put that we tried this thing and it didn't work because of this, and so we redesigned it so that stuff is the kind of things you would put in your notebook then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about all the time we got for it, so I think that should be enough.
Yeah.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.